Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Entrepreneur Builder. We have our new hostesses with us, the hostesses with the mostesses, Noelle Garcia and Skylar Cuevas. Great to have you guys on the team. It's going to make it
Thank
a lot
you.
more fun than just listening to my incredibly pleasing baritone.
Lots of
Yes,
fun.
So,
I agree.
yeah. Uh, so almost kind of a reboot, I guess, for the channel here. Instead of just listening to me nerd out and talk about some boring topic. Yes, thank you, YouTube, for that positive feedback. Uh, we've decided to bring in some pretty faces that are also brilliant, and they'll be here to ask questions and just help the conversation be a little more exciting. We got our Christmas background up today, ladies. You see that?
Yes, we're feeling
Yes,
very festive.
Frightfully
very
cold
festive.
outside, and
Waiting for the Christmas. Oh, yes, it is actually very cold.
in Old Humble, Texas, coming to you live from Old Humble. So,
Is it cold over there where you're at, Skylar?
Yes, very.
It is
We're like
colder.
in the
Would
we're getting to the 20s now.
oof,
really?
that is cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I think we're entering the 30s tomorrow, and so we'll be catching up with you with all this cold.
Cool.
Hey, I'm here for it. I like it. After the summer we had, yes.
I have to say, I was waiting for the cold, so
So we're getting close to year end, ladies.
we
Yes.
are.
We had some pretty
And
exciting developments last week too. Did y'all see the stuff on the BOI? Beneficial ownership information reporting.
yes,
Yes.
it being
Isn't
put
that
on
on hold?
hold.
It is. It is. So a Texas judge decided that, hey, we don't think this is legal, and so the Department of Justice lost that case. But they've promised to appeal, of course, and so it'll go to the appeals court now, and that'll take many months, but that's going to push off the January 1st deadline. Some people are thinking that it's going to pass in some way. And so they were saying, go ahead and just file it and get it over with. It is fairly easy to do. It goes through FinCEN, and you can go set it up yourself, or you can hire somebody like Standard and Company to do it for you. Just requires some information. We talked about it in our BOI meeting with when we had
Yes,
our guest Yuli.
Ulysses.
Um, it's really not that difficult to do yourself. You just need copies of your driver's license and that. But so some people are choosing to do it themselves and just kind of keep it going, or just get it over with. But a lot of
Quick
people are just
process,
saying
would
no
you
if it's
say?
not. What's that?
Would you say it's a quick process if they decide to do it on their own?
It's really not that bad. It's probably, I'm going to say 20 minutes, something in that
No.
range, because it's a little bit of time to pull the paperwork together, and it's just like any other government website. You have to set up a user ID and a password, and then you have to confirm that user ID and your email address and all that stuff. So not too bad.
If they do it on their own, they don't have to pay any fees or anything like that, right?
No, it's free. It's
Just
free.
all.
Yeah,
Okay.
just like if you hired us to do it, you're just paying us for our time
So
Okay.
just
and taking responsibility for it.
circling back around, when will they have an answer?
You don't know.
It could
No way to
take
know
a
that. It
while,
has to go
right?
through the courts, and so it will be whenever the appeals court picks it up. And there's a little bit to that. I am not an attorney, but my understanding of the way that it works is they'll file for an appeal, and the appellate court judge then has to decide whether or not they feel like it was a valid appeal, and then he'll decide if he wants to see it. And then they could take it all the way to the Supreme Court if they wanted to.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that and keep everyone posted once we find out more information.
I actually have a
Absolutely.
question. Now, if and when that goes through and business owners do have to file this report, will this more so benefit them, or will it do anything to them? Is this
No, probably it doesn't benefit you in any way. It's really more
okay?
just informational. It is truly just saying who owns what. And generally that's stuff that's kept at the state level when you register an entity, because entities they really exist at the state level.
Mhm.
So, when you are creating an entity, you like here in Texas, you are filing with the Secretary of State of Texas, and so that entity really doesn't exist anywhere else. It just exists inside of the state of Texas. If you wanted to then go do something in Louisiana or something, you're actually supposed to file paperwork as a foreign entity operating in the state of Louisiana. We would be considered a foreign entity. It kind of goes back to some of the stuff where the states are, in a lot of ways, their own individual countries.
Right.
And so you can certainly register in all states, and you still have to file for federal numbers for tax reporting and all that sort of thing. But you really exist at the state level. And so anyway, that information kind of exists at the state level, which means the federal government doesn't have the easiest access to it. And so a lot of this is, it's the same old sort of thing. It's people break the law, and this is a way, if the feds can get this information, then potentially they can try to stop some crimes from happening.
Okay.
But, you give up your freedoms in order to stop people who are breaking the law, sort of thing. And so that's kind of what's being debated.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, it is. It's interesting stuff. Little tax law there. How's that? That's some nerd talk.
Yeah, pretty nerdy.
Right.
So, what was that you were talking about earlier? The year-end checklist?
So yeah, there are some checklists out there, and we've certainly sent them out before. In our last newsletter, we talked a little bit about that and just trying to get ready for year end and getting yourself prepped, right? Because things happen fast. You get
Correct.
to year end. Oh man, Christmas gets here. You run out of time. New Year's is here, and then January is a busy time for any sort of bookkeeping. January is incredible because you're not just closing out January like you normally close out a month. You got to close out, December. You have to close out the entire year as well. And so
Right.
You have quarterly payroll reports, you have annual payroll reports, you've got the month that you have to reconcile, the year you have to reconcile. There's a lot that has to be done. And your W-2s and 1099s are due at the end of the month. And so there's a lot that has to be done. And so getting a head start on some of that stuff, yeah. Absolutely. Getting ahead of that right now saves you a tremendous amount of time on the back end, because instead of sitting there trying to fight everybody else for their W-2s, if you already purchased yours or your 1099s, if you're still able to paper file, a lot of people have to do electronic now, but but just using it as an example of things that have to be done.
Right.
So it's good to go ahead and get ahead of that. Start doing your reconciliations now. Start going through your fixed asset list. Trying to figure out if you've, a lot of people wait and do loan reconciliations and those types of things at the end of the year, but you could go ahead and get started on some of that, even though you don't have those year-end numbers. For individual taxpayers, it's not a bad idea to just kind of go through the bank accounts and see, did I have any other money that I made this year besides my W-2? Did I take any money out of an IRA that I remember? Or, don't get me wrong, a lot of this stuff would be great if you just did it all year long, but most of us don't, including me. So
if we're being realistic.
Yeah, right. And so, just like y'all should be going through the bank accounts and saying, if there is anything that I potentially did that was something that could help me out on my taxes, go ahead and start pulling that information now.
Okay.
Yes.
Good stuff.
But it is important to just put out there, like you were mentioning, about how this next month or two is going to be very hectic. So being able to have all of your documents in order, making sure that they have been submitted, will help tremendously, right, Nicholas?
Well, just take a look at last year's tax return too and see, what did you have last year? Did you have a W-2 last year? Did you have interest statements from bank XYZ? All of those things, so that you can start looking for them in the mail, right? Because some of them do come out pretty quickly, or you have digital access to them. The IRS is not open yet, and they typically won't open until like the third week of January, depending on how that works, because they shut all of their computer systems down every year in order to purge and clean up their data. make sure there aren't any problems. But anyway, so you have a little bit of time, but it's worth it to create a little checklist for yourself of what did I have last year? What was on last year's tax return? And let's make sure that I have at least that again for this year.
Yes.
So, and
We
if you want to
have.
make any, it's a very good time if you can still get in to meet with your accountant and see what's going on, see if there's any last minute things that you can do, with your last check stub and that we can go in and make pretty good estimates of whether or not you're going to owe or get refunds and whether or not you need to make, this time of year, a big one is charitable contributions. People who are trying to reduce their income will go in and make some big charitable contributions and reduces their taxes for them. And there's a lot of different stuff that you can do from donations of appreciated assets, like, hey, I own this stock, but I'm going to give, instead of me having to take the income on this stock, I'm just going to go ahead and donate it to a charity. And so I don't have to pay the taxes on it. And it helps. So.
Very nice.
Yeah. So there's some little tax year-end stuff that you can do. You should, of course, this is general information. Might give my disclaimer. This is general information, and you should always talk to your own accountant and tax preparer before following any of this advice. But it's something for you to go talk about, right?
This guy.
It's
mirrored
retirement. What was that?
I went to be like, this guy, because you're this way on my screen and forgot. I had one moment. Yeah. Just forgive me.
So what are y'all doing anything fun for Christmas and New Year?
Actually, yes. We are hosting Christmas this year.
Nice.
And I'm excited to just have everybody over. I haven't.
This is fun.
Well, no, actually, I just forgot Thanksgiving passed by. But Thanksgiving, for some reason, was a little off this year. Almost everybody was sleeping. I don't know if that was just my family or not. We're just tired.
Just tired.
Yes.
All the turkey.
What's the thing in turkey? Tryptophan or something like that that's supposed to make you tired?
I can't remember.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But I'm excited, and I'm
so. Well, all right.
Do y'all
we're
have
going
any
over our
plans for
12. We're almost at
Christmas?
13 minutes, ladies.
Yeah, going
Y'all
over.
are gonna fuss at me if we go too far.
I have 10.
I have 13. We'll have 12:55 if we're gonna get technical.
Technically, it's 10:30 for me right now, but.
Well, that was interesting conversation. Thanks for adding that, ladies. That's what they're here for, guys, is to bring in the intriguing questions like that. All right.
The good questions.
The good questions.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back again. We'll keep shooting for our weeklies, and that somehow turns into every 6 months. But they have promised us that we're gonna do better about that and keep bringing up-to-date items.
We're gonna keep chugging along.
Make sure y'all find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Smash
right?
that subscribe button. We have a subscribe button, don't we? Smash it.
And the like.
Yes. Give us a like. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Adios.
Bye.